Have you tried to start your own sportswear brand, but you just haven't been able to achieve that premium professional look that some of the top players have? Well, what are the top reasons that we as consumers and as brand entrepreneurs can feel that something is cheap, and why these specific 10 mistakes are killing your brand and making it look absolutely cheap? In this episode, me as Shadi Adad, as the co-founder and creative director at Fittdesign, I'm going to highlight the key things that are killing your brand and making it seem dirt cheap. So let's get right into it. Mistake number one is essentially the fabric. It starts off with how it looks. The number one way that a fabric can look cheap is if it has that shiny, sort of unflattering look. Typically, a high shine fabric is an indicator that a high percentage of polyester is being used. Typically, those fabrics are not breathable, they're super uncomfortable, and ultimately, they're just not a good fabric to have altogether. How do you avoid this? Well, you have to understand that the fabric is the majority of the garment. You see that the fabric has a high density or a high thread count. So I'll look for a matte fabric, one with a nice yarn fineness. So if it's a pair of leggings, definitely not something that's too thin. And I would ultimately look for the sort of appearance of the fabric. These are all elements that I can see visually before I even have the chance to touch and feel the fabric. Number two is mistakenly placed or sort of poorly sized logos. Why is this an issue? Well, because you're relying on the factory to create the logo placement and the logo size. How do you avoid this? Well, you really need to give them exactly what size of logo that you want. You need to give the placement away from specific reference points. Mistake number three is that you have no branding, or your branding is all over the place. You're using a specific version of a logo on garment A versus that logo on garment B. There's no rule, there's no system, there's no structure. Then you might ask, Shadi, what's the problem? Can I not have variety in my branding? Yes, you can, but as long as you follow specific rules. You need to have a consistency in terms of how you present yourself. This is why I recommend, when creating your brand identity, create a full brand guideline. Mistake number four is how you present your products on your website, and specifically using copy-paste descriptions. Your product descriptions are essentially your salespeople. So having that prime real estate where you're describing the product in such a generic way consistently throughout the website is, number one, not going to give your customers the context that they need to make a purchasing decision, and two, is going to allow you, or going to force you to blend in with the rest of the competition. If you were to use ChatGPT, my best recommendation would be set up a project space specifically for your brand identity. It's important when looking at product descriptions as well, not only to just describe the product, but also to explain the type of feeling that it's going to pass on to the customer. Mistake number five is not investing correctly into your product photography or your studio photography that's going to be on the website. And I see this all the time with brands. Their products just look very grainy. Having a balanced color profile with the right color temperature, where your whites are not neither yellow nor blue, is going to be key. Mistake number six is that you don't have any logic for your color palettes. Not having a clear color identity to your collection is a missed opportunity. If you're launching a fall winter collection, you want to go for subdued colors that are more earthy, that are more warm. How you select colors also means how you come off to your customers, and where you find these colors is key. My recommendation would be, do some research ahead of time. Knowing where the industry is going to be in 12 months, 24 months allows you to plan ahead, so that when your products launch, you're not working off of a color palette that's already overplayed since 2 years. And mistake number seven that's making your brand look cheap is over-designing the product. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Every design element that you incorporate into a product should be intentional. It should have a valid end use for the actual person who's going to wear it. Adding zippers for the sake of zippers doesn't actually help you increase the retail value or the perceived value of the product. When you create a product or a garment, ask yourself, how is the customer going to be engaging with this product? Mistake number eight is that your fits are generic and they don't make sense for your customer avatar. When I say generic fits, I mean you have put no thought or effort towards the fit. Let's just say you're creating a boxy shirt, but for some reason the shoulders look off, or the sleeves are too short, or the sleeves are too long. Making sure that you're getting the fit perfect. And my recommendation would be, do two things. Create a clear and detailed technical sheet drawing, which is essentially a CAD drawing, which is a one-to-one flat that I discussed in the initial part of this episode, that has all the key components of what and how a garment should fit and how it should be measured. At the very minimum, get another garment that you like from the market, that you like how it fits, and ship that to your factory. That's the very minimum you can do. And also then make sure to create a proper sizing chart that has how the measurements scale between sizes. If you're curious on how you should do a sizing chart calculation, we've done a separate video in the past in terms of how measurements scale between sizes for a variety of different garments. You can check them out through our YouTube channel and let me know what you guys think. Mistake number 9 is completely ignoring the customer journey in these small details. And specifically, this comes down to packaging. Imagine you buy something from Louis Vuitton or Hermes and you're so excited. It's a product that you've been saving up for maybe months, maybe even a year, and it arrives in the mail and the box is all tattered, it's wet. You open it up and it's just the product sitting in there. There's no wrapping, no invitation card or welcome card. There's no experience. Yes, it's still that same high quality product, but imagine what that does to your perception. And mistake number 10 is not having a clearly defined customer avatar or customer target. It makes your brand look like every other brand out there. When you don't have a way to stand out, you cannot position yourself at a higher level than all of the brands that are on the market. By having a customer avatar, you essentially refine all of the elements of your brand, and all of this then creates intention. When you create intention, you immediately set yourself apart from the competition. By setting yourself apart, you create an air of exclusivity and difference. And when you're different, you're definitely not going to be seen as cheap. So to wrap up on here, your brand is instantly going to be judged. So make sure that on every single touch point of your brand, you're giving customers a reason to stay, a reason to love your brand. If you're curious on how you can personally improve your current brand, or maybe you have a new brand that you're trying to create and you want to make sure to avoid some of these pitfalls and you want my personal advice on how to do this, you can check the link in the description. I offer one-on-one consultation calls every single week. I don't hold them too often and slots are limited, so make sure to grab it while you can, and I'd be more than happy to hop on that call with you. Guys, from the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fit Design TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.